Daily Broadside to 884. Yesterday I did a video, and in it I mentioned a couple things that I expect men to be able to do. It was mostly things, wire an outlet, switch a toilet, patch some drywall, change brakes in your car, stuff that I think that just any rudimentary dude should be able to do. Unless you live in like a high-rise in Manhattan, or you don't own a car or a yard or whatever. At any rate, so one of the people in my comments section said something to the effect of, and I'm paraphrasing, men's description of masculinity or what they think makes a man is always interesting insight into the man himself, or something along those lines. And I take no offense. I get what they're saying, I think. We'll find out here in a minute. So I suggest to you, I made a list of 6 things that I think, first and foremost, more importantly than being able to do stuff, that women may not be able to do, much like I don't really know how to sew. I don't really know how to bake a pie. Things that we're just brought up learning how to do that the other sex is not. These are the more important things that I've found that I think kind of separate the sexes, you know what I mean? The first one is, I think masculinity and being a guy is built and predicated upon the fact that you are just an innate protector, okay? And I'm not even talking about like just your family. I mean, that goes without saying, that you should invite hell to earth when someone tries to mess with people that you care about or in your circle or your family, whatever you want to call it. But I'm just talking about just being observant, being aware of your surroundings, being constant. I don't think women realize what most men go through as far as the burden, and I don't mean burden in a bad way. I mean, I'm fine with it. It's cool. Give it to me. But the burden of being a protector and being always on guard of what might happen and stuff like that. And in the event of an emergency, knowing what to do and, going into, a mode that stops trauma kind of thing. And some people are better than that, than others. But I think that you have to be, you're born to be a protector, but I think that you have to develop this inner switch that goes from, just a normal state of, having a good time, of being aware of what's going on around you, to like a mode of just ruthlessness and whatever has to happen kind of thing to protect the people that you care about. And along those lines, I think that you should be able to fight. Now, I don't mean you should have to be Chuck Liddell or be able to beat John Jones, nothing like that, but I think you should be able to throw a punch. I think you should seek out ways to improve your skills in life, whether that's ground fighting or, any kind of pugilistic art, because I think that men realize that we're born with certain gifts, but we're just not innate fighters. Some of us have more of an inner kill switch when it comes to problems than others, and other people just thrive on it. But I think that you should develop some form of skill that keeps you better than the threat that might try to hurt you or yours. The second one is, I think you should be a natural teacher. And I'm talking about, like, you should have somebody in your life, typically another guy, that kind of takes you under his wing. It could be a coach, it could be a pastor, it could be your dad, it could be, whatever falls in line to your life, that teaches you how to be a guy, how to be a gentleman, how to be someone who other people want to be around, and it's as simple as holding doors and standing up to shake hands, being honest at any, when you make mistakes, it's no big deal. You just deal with it, you own up to it, you don't lie about it, and you move on, and you become a better version of yourself because of the mistakes you made. I'm a better person now than I was 10 years ago because of the stupid mistakes that I've made, and I'm cool with that, because I accept the things I can't change, but I'm a better person because I've made a bad situation or a trip along the way. I've picked myself up and I've dusted myself off, and I'm a better version of myself. I think that that's part of being an honest person and an honest man, and women can do that too. I'm just telling you from my perspective, and all that. Being on time, just be an example to the people that are younger than you. I got 2 boys. I have to be an example. If I had girls, I would want them to look for a mate that reminds them of me, because I've set a good example of what a guy, a gentleman, whatever is to, their mom or whoever. Same thing with a guy. If I'm raising two boys, I want to be an example of how to treat women. I've never in my life had a bad breakup. I've never had anybody key my car or nothing like that, because I'm mature enough to handle situations when they pop up, and if we're not made to be together, then we'll move on. It's no big deal. I don't hate you. In fact, I can't think of a person I've broken up with that I don't like. I wish them all the best, that kind of thing. So I think self-critical is the third one. Being self-critical. Weak people don't criticize themselves. I criticize myself every freaking day. I am so hard on myself, but it makes me a better person. It makes me a better version of myself, and I think that that's the maturity of being a man and owning your mistakes and your glitches and your faults and all that stuff, and just dealing with it, improving on yourself. Quiet introspection. I don't think women understand how much quiet introspection goes on in a guy's head that they never really know about. They don't know the burdens that we either put on ourselves or thrown on us by society that they don't have to worry about. And that's totally fine. We're cool with that. Like, give me that, yoke me up, right? I'm an oxen for that stuff. That's what I was built to do. I'm not complaining. I'm just letting you know that that's just part of it. Work ethic. Typically speaking, you're the provider in the family. Not always, but you can be. More times than not, you are. And that's fine too. Whatever. If you are, you are. If you're not, you still got a work ethic. I was born with two parents that worked their asses off. Just flat out worked their asses off. I didn't know anything else but hard work. And my mom worked a job in the mornings before her full-time job. My dad worked 6-7 days a week from 7 in the morning till 9 at night most days. When when it got dark that late. I mean, it's just all I've ever known. I had 3 jobs in college. I've worked since the day my dad used to pay me cash under the table from the time I was in 6th grade, to the time now. I mean, that's how long I've been working. It just is what it is. And I think that's expected of men. So I think that's a huge component, is you're a provider, or whether it's a partnership or you're the sole provider of income, whatever it is, you pull your weight. You do what you're supposed to do. The next one is pain is just life. You just deal with stuff. Women don't typically have jobs that, require you to, carry, sheets of drywall up a 3rd floor building. That they don't require you to do masonry. Things that just wreck your body. Things that just, whatever. Now, there's guys that work at desks. I get it. But what I'm saying is, typically women don't have jobs that physically are demanding, that kind of break you. I wake up with more pain in my life from a myriad reasons of things I've done to my body throughout my life as I close in on 50 years old. And I mean, back problems and whatnot, it's just suck it up, buttercup. It is what it is. I live by the mantra of wake up, get up, dress up, show up. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. The only easy day was yesterday. We got to do this, Ain't going to get done by anybody else, so you got to do it, And I think that part of it is what it is. You do what has to be done. It's simple as, remember in the movie Night Shift when Henry Winkler's fiance was like, Chuck, can you check the apartment? And he's like, why do I always have to check the apartment before we make love? And she's like, because it makes me feel good. It doesn't matter how dumb it is. Like, check the apartment. Like, that's the kind of stupid crap, you're in bed at 11:30. You can't wait to go to sleep. You're in your pajamas. It's warm. And you get pointed out that you forgot to take the trash out. And it's going to be there before you get up. And get up. You go take. I mean, it's just stupid stuff like that. I got to work a weekend. I got to work a holiday. I got to work a whatever. I mean, it's just part of it. And the last thing is never being a coward. Cowardice is not masculinity. I don't think you back down from anything unless it's a tactical advantage for you to do so. You show up or you get put into a situation, you deal with the situation, Hopefully you've prepared yourself for those situations. You can read between the lines on whatever that means. But, you do what has to be done to protect other people. Hopefully, as a man, as someone who embraces masculinity as a concept, protects the weaker among us. And that's not just the people that are in our little fold, in our nuclear family or our friends or whatnot. It's anybody, It's anybody that you run across in society that needs help and is obviously in need of that help. And it's help that you can somehow provide. You step in and you deal with stuff. And I'm not talking about dumb stuff like Chris getting stabbed and Stand By Me because he tried to intervene in a robbery or whatever. But hey, if it hurts your feelings, Daniel Penny, right there, okay? You can think what you want. He was acquitted, so we can talk about it now. Dude stepped in to stop that crazy dude from dealing with other people maliciously. That's what someone does, is they step in and they show no cowardice. They deal with a problem because it needs to be addressed. So those are encapsulated the main things that I think make up masculinity. Let me know what I missed.